Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast. On a Monday, that must mean it's time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, how are you doing on this never-ending summer day?
I'm doing great on this wrapping up summer day. At least we're getting dusk, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're just kind of wearing down. So it's all good over here. No complaints. Just kind of get my Monday started and the week started as best I can. I'm sure you're doing the same
Indeed.
on your
Indeed.
side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
yeah. So, what are we working on today? We'll just jump right into it.
alrighty.
Limited
So let me
preamble today. No randomness. Just gonna go right into it.
yeah. For tonight, we'll be doing the shot where Calamity realizes her tail has been lopped off.
Mm.
And Mitchell points it out to her and she goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, that happens. It'll grow
It'll grow
back, all that kind
back.
of
It
stuff."
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll be working on this pose is already done. So I'm gonna be grabbing
Mm-hmm.
it from her asset library, which is here, and I'll just flip
Mm-hmm.
it. I'll adjust the tail, and then I'll be doing a new pose tonight, which is drawing this pose out, and maybe do some subtle animation at the same time and go from there.
All right.
That'll be the
Excellent.
plan.
Excellent. So I feel like we're already queued up for I think what we're going to talk about today, given that we
Yeah,
we
we
spent
didn't need a preamble because
no,
I
we are we yeah, we didn't need to I mean we talked so we for everybody, I mean who's watched this knows, we pregame on Sunday prepping for today, like kind of workshopping ideas that we're going to talk about. And From Software is a company that has been mentioned on numerous occasions on this show, and they've got a new product coming out for the Switch 2 in a few months called Duskbloods, and I got in on the closed beta network test for the game that was done over this weekend, and I have thoughts, and James is like, well, yeah, I kind of could tell you everything that you're saying to me. Yes, I already knew.
yeah,
um
yeah.
and so yeah, I mean we'll just launch right in. I mean, Duskbloods is it's a Switch 2 exclusive, which is wild to think about. Now, I mean, when I say exclusive, it's probably an exclusive in the same way that Monster Hunter Rise was an exclusive, right?
Mhm.
Nintendo backed up a certain amount of money in a dump truck to From Software, and that buys them exclusivity for probably a year, maybe two, right? So give it a couple of years, and Duskbloods, like the complete edition or director's cut, will launch on every other platform. But for the time being, it's a Switch 2 exclusive, and it is multiplayer focused. As far as I know, there's no single player component to
Mhm.
Duskbloods. It's purely primarily PvP, but there is a PvE aspect of it. For I feel like anybody watching this isn't gonna know what those initialisms mean, but player versus or player versus enemy. That's what PvP PvE means. Um and I picked it up. I actually got in on it. I signed up for every closed beta I come across. I rarely get in. And for whatever reason I got in on this one. Um and So I downloaded it, and I played the tutorial, which took an hour and a half to do because it is a incredibly complex game.
Oh, I didn't
Um,
catch that you had to do it for an hour and a half for just a tutorial section. I didn't realize that was how long it took.
yeah, no,
Jeez.
so the the mandatory tutorial is like 30 minutes.
Okay. All
And
right.
then you have the option to jump into a game. And if you try to do that, it goes, you can do this. We'll let you do this, but we highly recommend you playing these three
Yeah.
other tutorial sections first. And
Yeah.
I'm glad I did, because if I had just hopped into a match, I would have done even worse than I did after I had done the
Mhm.
tutorials.
Mhm.
Um, I only played a single online match with other human players because these tests are very limited. There's like over the course of the weekend, there's only 4 times where they run, and it's only for a very specific set of hours. And so, like, if you're not free at the times that it's on, then you're just SOL, right? And so I was
Mhm.
free only for like, a limited portion of the window, but I did get a chance to go through the tutorials, and I got a chance to do a real match and was eliminated almost immediately.
Mhm.
But as I texted, even as of today, I had texted James earlier, like, I'm still thinking about this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I was just absolutely devastated by more experienced players when I was playing online.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, just absolutely wrecked me. And that's my, like, a big fear of mine. Like, if that is what I have to look forward to if I take the plunge on this one, then that's going to be extremely discouraging, right?
Mhm.
Because the skill floor at that point is precipitously high. Because
Yeah.
one of the things that was going on is it's a FromSoft game. You've got players who have been playing FromSoft games regularly for over a decade, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and so they hop in and they're pretty quickly familiar with the controls and the timings of iframes and things of that nature, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I haven't played, and I played Dark Souls briefly, and I played Bloodborne briefly, and that's it. That's my only, and Demon Souls. I played that briefly as well. Those are my
Mhm.
only. That's my only experience with, um, FromSoft's recent
Yeah.
offerings. Um, and so suffice it to say, I'm not familiar with the animation timing. I'm not familiar with uh, the controller uh, button mappings.
Mhm.
And so there was a lot of learning that I had to do, and this network test is not a great place to cut your teeth because
Yeah.
there's no real matchmaking. They're just creating random matches and pairing random people up next to each other.
Mhm.
And because of the nature of the beast, you're playing with, for the most part, you're playing with people who love From Software and love these types of
Yeah.
games, right?
You are playing with, I mean, that's
The
the
creme
purest
de la creme, right?
fanboys.
Yeah,
Fanboys central right
yeah,
there. By
yeah.
doing a network test for sure.
So my actual experience, like, playing against humans, was not great.
Mhm.
um, but what was great is it is one of the most unique PvP multiplayer game loops I've seen in a long time. And it is, I bang on this drum all the time, because it is a core tenet of my design philosophy. There's nothing in the game that I haven't seen in other games,
Mhm.
but the way they combine the tools that they're using, it's so remarkably fresh. It's not like any other multiplayer game I've ever played before.
Huh.
In terms of its layout, in terms of its win-loss conditions, how a match plays out. It's incredibly unique, and I found the game loop incredibly compelling. Even though when I got into an actual map or an actual gameplay session, I was just devastated within seconds.
Mhm. Sure.
The promise of the premise is really strong with this game.
Okay, so what is the premise
Yeah,
exactly? It's a bunch of vampires that are angry at each other. What's the layout of
nailed it.
this of the
It's a
game?
bunch of vampires that are angry at each other. That's the story, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
If there's a
All right.
deeper story, I am not familiar with it. But the gameplay loop is, it's split into multiple phases.
Okay.
Um, the phase one is almost like a MOBA, where you're running around on a map, you're killing mobs, you're getting experience, you're leveling up your powers, you're finding, like, familiars who can help fight with you. Very, very reminiscent of Dota and things of that nature, right?
Okay. All
You
right.
can encounter other players and battle them, but in these earlier modes, there's actually a parlay system
Mm-hmm.
where when you approach an enemy, rather than fighting them, you can parlay and say, hey, do you want to team up, right? And then if they say yes for the rest of that round, they're on your team. You can't hurt each other. There's no friendly fire. All of your points, which are called virtue in this game, it's a shared pool, and you get to decide on each phase if you want to keep that alliance going. Then at the end of phase 1, you go into the second phase appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
And they unlock these like shrine locations where you can get. So ultimately, the way it works is like, if you know F-Zero, every lap at F-Zero, you have to be above a certain place. So in the first lap, you have to be above 24th place when you finish.
Mm-hmm.
Second lap, you have to be above like 15. Third lap, above 5. Final lap, above 3, right? Um, Duskblood works the same way. You gain points, which, like I said, are called virtue in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And you gain virtue a variety of ways: killing sub bosses, killing a crap load of regular mobs, although that is not a good way to get virtue.
Okay.
Killing other players, assisting other players, um, and at every phase, not including the first phase, you have to be above a virtue threshold to continue, right? So phase 1, there is no virtue threshold by default. I'm certain that you can turn that on in the final game, but in the network test that I played, there was no virtue limit in phase 1. Phase 2, you have to be in the top 6 players. At the end of phase 3, you have to be in the top 3 players, right? Phase 2 introduces these shrines that you can interact with, and if you interact with one and claim it, you get virtue points for that.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, if you fight other player characters in this like shrine area, you get
Mm-hmm.
other types of virtue. And there's like 4 or 5, like I said, 4 or 5 different ways to collect virtue. And the ways you can collect virtue increases over every phase that you play. And ultimately, after the end of the third phase, the final 3 players go into just a free for all, every man for himself, final battle, winner take all. So there's even sort of
Mm-hmm.
like a battle royale, like Fortnite, DayZ kind of, spice on the top of it. And
Mm-hmm.
so the winner is the one who survives all the phases and also the final 1v all encounter at the end of the session. Really, really interesting. To do a full session beginning to end takes about a half hour, 35 minutes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a commitment of time. It's not like Splatoon, where if you just do a casual map in Splatoon, it's 5 minutes long at the most, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Each match in Duskbloods is easily a half hour commitment, right? Um, but the way the phases are structured, the way you get points, the implementation of sort of that MOBA hunting mobs aspect, the way that there are like teams, but those teams are designed to be temporary alliances because at the end it's going to be a 1v all encounter. Um, a really, really compelling game loop for me. And so, even though I only played a few matches, most of them were with bots. Only one of them was with other humans. I was like, I've been thinking about this game since I played it. Like, it is really unique in terms of what its offerings are as a multiplayer action game.
Man, I have so many questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I wonder what caught you. You've been diagnosed with the From Software bug. You have now been bitten by it,
I mean, at
by
least
for
with this game,
sure.
it's good. Yeah, I mean, after playing this
Yes.
game, I'm like, should I get Elden Ring just so I can
Yeah,
master the
the fact that you texted
From
me, asked if
Software?
you,
Yeah,
yeah, because you're getting that itch, and like, yeah, he's gotten bit. Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
pretty crazy. After all these iterations, somehow for some reason, Dust Bloods is what got you, and I'm not sure. I'm really curious because you, like you said, you played Dark Souls, you played Bloodborne, you played
Mm-hmm.
Demon Souls,
Mm-hmm.
and none of those took. But maybe you didn't play them long enough. I wonder what it was that changed it for Duskbloods, because I remember, and add to whatever I can recall from your dislike from those games, but it was mainly the get good aspect of it and the
Mm-hmm.
hard mode of it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
Duskbloods, from what you're describing, sounds like it's exact same molds from the same family and everything, but yet something kind of caught your something gave you an itch, and it
I
sounds like it's the design of
yeah.
the loop, huh?
Yeah,
Is that what did it?
100%. Yeah, it's the game loop I find very it was very itching all of my designer itches. Um
Okay.
uh a lot of really clever design ideas. The at least the six characters that they had playable in the network test, and I don't know if those are the only six characters in the full game or if there's
Uh-huh.
going to be like customization. It seems like there's going to be customization options, but it's unclear
Yeah.
the breadth of those options. Um, but the six characters that you can play are very varied. In terms of like what their abilities are.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. It's just the player characters are interesting. The game loop is really interesting, and like what and we've talked about this. One of the things that I don't particularly care for with Dark Souls and Demon Souls and Elden Ring is their take on like sort of the dark fantasy is not my
Hmm.
favorite, right?
Yeah.
Bloodborne, I love the aesthetic of Bloodborne, like sort of
Hmm.
this blending of gothic horror with industrial revolution aesthetics. It looked
Hmm.
really really cool, right?
And this is a cousin to
And this is
that
kind of a
type of.
cousin to that,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's not dark fantasy, it's very vampires. All of the environments
Hmm.
are super gothic
Yeah.
and reflect that kind of gothic horror aspect. And I like gothic horror and folklore horror. Like those are among my favorite horror genres, just
Hmm.
from a purely aesthetic standpoint.
Hmm.
And so yeah, that visually it like scratched an itch as well.
Hmm.
It is of course a very Japanese take on that style of horror,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a little kitschy but also kind of fun.
Yeah.
Um, like one of the playable characters in the network test was basically Solaire, but like his helmet was slightly different and he didn't, or not Solaire. No, no, no. I'm sorry. What is that armor guy with the big like
Oh,
UFO? What is I don't it's not
yeah.
Solaire. It's
Yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name either.
but
I
you know who I'm
befriended him all the
talking about,
time.
right?
Yes, I know who we talked about.
You
Classic Dark Souls character,
classic Dark Souls
memorable,
character. Yeah.
lovable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It reminds
yeah.
me of that character, right?
Okay, all right.
Um so like the visuals were like I was vibing with the design of of the game loop was really scratching my designer itch.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I don't know what it was about. Well, I know what it was is that I played Bloodborne a long time ago and it didn't immediately catch me and so I moved on.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, I think it was because I was in sort of I, I had this unique opportunity to participate in this network test. I took it more seriously than I would have otherwise because I was like, oh shit,
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky. I better take advantage of this.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So I actually did like really kind of invest time in understanding what was going on. And I mean, you said this over and over again. It's like if you're good at Monster Hunter, you can be good at Dark Souls, right?
Yeah, I've been telling you that for a few years now. Like, it's funny, like if you just got past your disdain of the get good aspect of it,
Right.
uh, because Monster Hunter pretty much is, again, I mean, we're using this cousin term, but
Mm-hmm.
it is like Monster Hunter had, like when you introduced me to Monster Hunter, it was very natural to fit into the game. It's very twitchy. twitchy, reflexy kind of a game if you want it to be. I
Hmm.
mean, Monster Hunter to me is a lot more flexible. I think
Yeah,
you can
the
play it a
skill
little bit
floor in
different.
Monster Hunter is definitely lower.
Yeah, yeah. But the way I like to play, I played with dual blades. That was my
Hmm.
primary weapon, I think, towards the end. And then I switched over to I had both for the beginning just because I was more noob and I felt like range might be easier. But at the end, I was a dual blade player. Then you get to a point where you're using Demon Dance and you can kind of just autopilot a lot of that stuff.
Hmm.
But you
Hmm.
still have to be twitchy. You have to be up front, up close to the monster, use your iframes, you know. So
Hmm.
that was a natural fit from classic Dark Souls type of games too. So yeah, and
Yeah,
with how you play Monster Hunter, you go all over the place.
yeah.
It's just a matter of just kind of adapting whatever weapon set you did for Monster Hunter that requires your twitch reflexes,
Hmm.
and you'd be fine. You'd be just fine
Yeah.
in a Souls game.
And I think part of it is I'm so used to, so Capcom, between Monster Hunter and Street Fighter, they have a very particular
Yeah.
design philosophy on how iframes are handled,
Hmm.
how like animation cancels are handled. Like
Yeah.
if you know if like this is super super in the weeds, but if you play as many games as you and I do, you start getting a feel for how some of these
Yeah.
things are implemented, and the the combat systems in Monster Hunter and Street Fighter 6 are very different, but their philosophy on how they handle animations, cancels, iframes clearly are cut from the same cloth, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I've been playing. Capcom is famously like my second favorite developer behind
Yeah.
Nintendo, has been
Hmm.
for basically my entire life. And um so I'm intimately familiar with their kind of style, right?
Hmm. Yep.
And so I come over to FromSoft, and I think that the wall that I was hitting is that their design philosophy around how all of that's handled is different than Capcom's.
Hmm.
And I noticed while I was playing Dark Duskbloods, Jesus Christ. It's not my favorite title, but whatever.
Yeah.
Um uh I was trying to play it like I was playing Monster Hunter.
Okay.
And I started realizing it's like, oh wait, like how they handle animation
Hmm.
cancels, how they handle yeah, when the iframes start, the timing, the wind up on animations are longer in in some aspects, and you have to anticipate, like in a lot of ways it's less twitchy, it's a little bit more intentional than
Hmm.
Capcom is. Capcom, you can be very reactive and be successful by being reactive.
Yeah, but in a Souls game, they punish you.
It's very, yeah, you have to be very premeditated about how you
Yeah.
approach combat in that game. And I was just starting to get a taste for that
Hmm.
in the Dust Book. And so I think it was a combination of things, but all of a sudden I'm like, oh wait, I'm starting to see how the sausage is made a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Hmm.
And and that made like a huge difference for me. So yeah, it was, the aesthetics were fun. The gameplay loop in particular was incredibly compelling for me, and I started to get a sense of how their combat mechanics are implemented, and seeing how my own biases were actually stymieing my own abilities to succeed,
Hmm.
at least in an initial way. So I don't know, man. I'm thinking I might just say fuck it and dive in head first on this one and figure it out,
Yeah.
because I did one session against humans and I'm still
That
days
says a
later
lot.
still talking about it.
Yeah, that says a lot. It's I like I said, I'm surprised and also kind of happy that you are now, jumping into the world of the Soulsborne games, and you're gonna end up with that whole community of get good people. That's gonna be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think well, welcome to the soul, welcome to Soulsborne.
We'll see.
And
I mean,
I and
we'll
I'm
see.
sorry. I do want to apologize. I'm sorry for your future addiction to the game. It might happen where you might get the maybe not. We'll see. You have an immunity that I don't have for some of these games. So we'll see. But the fact that you got bit, I mean, you have been bit for sure. Now,
I
yeah,
mean,
let's
the
see what your antibodies do with your newfound virus that's in your system. Whether you mutate and enjoy the game or you do end up just rejecting
yeah,
and hating the
yeah,
game.
right, exactly. If my antibodies kick in,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah,
the irony, of course, is that the game that kind of got me to raise an eyebrow, uh, is about vampires. So I
hmm
got bit.
yeah. It's true. I didn't even that was done on that. That was done on purpose. But thanks for bridging that. That's great.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a really funny. That's a really funny. Yeah, that's really hilarious,
yeah.
actually. So the question now is, are you? I mean, I guess you're gonna buy it. You'll probably buy it launch day whenever they release
I
it.
think
So
so.
you
Just
are gonna,
I think I'm gonna
yeah,
dive in. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take that plunge. I mean, I've taken that plunge before and have been burned. But why not? I've also taken that plunge and been like, holy shit, this was amazing. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, and in this case, I mean, I'll probably have to buy the damn game too. I don't want to give Nintendo money, but I might have to just to go in that
well,
journey with you because I'm semi-retired. Like I think I've told on the stream before, I'm semi-retired after Elden Ring because
right.
of Millennia. Millennia was awful.
Yeah, yeah.
She was. I was angry with that character.
I mean, she's
Uh,
notorious.
she's got legendary status now on
Yeah,
interwebs. Now, of
yeah.
course, now as years have passed, people have figured out her patterns and all that stuff. But when you were fighting her week one, day one,
Mhm.
whatever, like when it was that was rough.
Mhm.
I couldn't stand her as a boss. At that point, I was like, yeah, after I beat this game, I am done with Soulsborne games for a little while because I don't know. For me, I feel like they've run out of ideas to
So
what they can do with the boss. But
yeah.
with Duskbloods and also to kind of extend it out to Night Rain, I think is the other one they
Mhm.
did, which is an extension. The multiplayer is a whole different animal, though.
Mhm.
It does kind of extend itself there where they can explore different ideas because now you have multiple players playing. And it's a little bit different.
Mhm.
Sorry, I interrupted you, but
No, I
you were
was
gonna chime in.
literally gonna say what you said, right?
Okay,
Because
yeah.
of its focus on multiplayer, it removes Melania
Yeah.
isn't, or Melania or whatever.
Yeah. I don't want to use. It's not
Yeah, yeah,
Trump's
yeah, yeah,
wife.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's the
yeah,
other. Yeah.
yeah,
Um.
yeah. That is not, at least in the network test that I played, and at least what they hint at in terms of features. Um, Going up against a boss like that solo is not gonna be something that is in Duskbloods. Like
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
I can see a space where there is a mode, like effectively like a raid mode. I can absolutely see the potential of them doing an 8v1 boss battle kind of thing.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
that would be very different than what you're talking about in Elden Ring, right?
Hmm. Yeah. But with all that being said, the fact that you were even texting me today, I'm thinking about getting Elden Ring, I was kind of like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. I
Well,
mean, because you
just
need this.
yeah, just
Yeah.
to play it so I can understand the mechanics.
Yep.
So then when Dustblood comes out, I'm like, okay, I get this now. Because we
Yeah.
we were talking about it, and like the one of the biggest hurdles that I was running into is primary and secondary attacks being on the shoulder buttons,
Hmm.
which was breaking my
Yeah.
brain a lot. Um,
Yeah.
really struggling to wrap my head around that. Uh, and I know that people are pretty accustomed to that at this point. But I certainly wasn't. And so I kept trying to play like Monster Hunter, and that
Hmm.
I kept pressing the R button to try to lock on, because locking on to an enemy is something that you do on a regular basis.
Hmm. Hmm.
And but that's not how you lock on to enemies in, you know, Dustbloods. And so trying to get my head into the how the controls are designed was one of the biggest challenges that I had.
Yeah, and that's just muscle memory. I mean,
Yeah.
that'll catch you'll catch on to that. Was there any key binding changes in that game? Did they
Not in
have
the
that in the
network
menu?
test. That's not to say that there won't be in the final project.
I can't
But
remember if they have that key binding changes in Elden Ring or not. Never
yeah.
bothered with changing too much of the stuff there.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't yeah, and that is something like if they do have key rebinding in Duskbloods, I might take advantage of that
mhm,
because I'd
mhm,
rather not have to learn an entirely new muscle memory schema
mhm,
to just play a very specific subset of games.
mhm.
And so I might like take the time to remap everything so it feels more like Monster Hunter.
I mean, if it's in there, then yeah, more power to you.
Yeah.
I, I was thinking about how you were talking about how you come from Monster Hunter and you come to a Souls game, and for me, it's the opposite. I didn't touch Monster Hunter until much later, until Rise.
Yeah.
And I definitely I see what you're saying because Monster Hunter is much more forgiving. So for
Hmm.
me as a Souls player, it was a lot easier to just do stuff and go, okay, I know what I can do here and all that stuff. But for you, for you being the opposite, you're actually making things harder for yourself because now
Hmm.
you're coming to a Souls game.
A much
So that
less
makes a lot of
forgiving
sense.
project. Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense where your reservations come from. Yeah, for me, it was like, oh, this is like a resort, Monster Hunter. This is great. Um, but even then, again, but I will say, Monster Hunter, the fact that Monster has can one shot you with a Malzeno, a Grumpy Malzeno, whatever things they call them,
Hmm.
or a Cosmic Valtrex or whatever it's called, those
Hmm.
things one shot you, repeatedly. You get carded multiple times and you're done. Like, I mean, Monster Hunter is no slouch when you get later in the game.
No, that's true. But
You know,
I will say, and this was something that was definitely something I'll have to figure out. Like even in the demo, the sort of tutorial play, you'd find one of these sub bosses which you could kill and get virtue from,
hmm
and it would early in the game you were almost guaranteed to be one shotted unless you were
yeah,
really intimately familiar
yeah.
with the controls and understood dodge timing and shield timing and all that, because there's no parrying in the game, it's only dodges and shields.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Hmm. Well,
All right.
okay. At least the two characters that I played as,
Hmm.
neither of them had parries. So
Wow.
I can't
Okay.
speak to it um globally. But the two characters
Okay.
I played did not have parries, and the way the tutorial was set up, it didn't seem to imply that parrying would at some point be a mechanic.
Okay.
So I don't know that there's parrying in Duskbloods.
I'd be shocked if that is actually the case because it feels like since I'd have to say Dark Souls 3,
Hmm.
it felt like to me that they really tried to cater to people to cater to players that wanted to parry more. I mean, it was in Dark Souls 1, I believe,
Yeah.
but and 2, but not to the degree where Dark Souls 3 to me really kind of said, "Hey, if you like to parry, we really do have this game's for you. You can parry a lot more stuff." And it felt like that. It felt like that, but I never could figure out the parrying technique in
Hmm.
any of the Souls games. So when Bloodborne came out, there's no parrying in that game either, really.
Right.
I think it's all just attack, 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 dash, and
And
dodge
roll. Yeah.
and roll. Yeah, that's it. So that game was like my jam
Hmm.
out of all the Souls games. But and Elden Ring, going back to Elden Ring now, Elden Ring has the parry system in there too, and I think it's pretty robust in there too. I think if you get the
Hmm.
right shield and stuff like that. Again, but even with Elden Ring, and I played with like the best shield you can get in the game, and all I'd ever do was just use the block. I would never parry anything. I would just use it to absorb the hit and then just counter and then do what I could afterwards. But yeah, I but I am surprised that they took parrying. I mean, they haven't taken parrying out of a game since Bloodborne, I believe. So it's interesting to hear them hear your take with what you saw. That there's no pairing the two characters that you had. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So they seem again, it kind of goes back to this whole talk, and rumor mill about how this is a natural successor to Bloodborne. This is Bloodborne two for a lot of players. That's how they treat it. And
Mhm.
if you're saying there's no parry, that kind of tracks then.
Reinforces that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Huh. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Interesting.
it also could be that, and I have been shouting this from the rooftops from a while, but I'm ready for parrying to come to an end, to be sunsetted for a while.
Okay.
I think action games in the 21st century, in the late, the last 10 years at least, have started using parries almost as like a crutch.
Uh-huh.
And it stopped being a novel, interesting, and it can still be, but it stopped being novel and interesting because the implementation is pretty rote, and it feels like it's almost included because it's expected to be there, not because it really enhances the gameplay experience all that
Mm-hmm.
much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's starting to shift because like the new Remedy game, the Control sequel, Control
Mm-hmm.
Resonance or whatever, they did a big interview. Like there's no parrying in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And they were of course asked, because this is the standard bearer of action combat mechanics,
Mm-hmm.
why no parrying? And they're like, we just didn't think it made sense for our design. And I'm like, holy shit. Someone
Mm-hmm.
someone is saying that just shoehorning in a parrying mechanic into a game isn't necessarily a good idea. Wow, that's amazing. Maybe I should go back and play the first Control so I can check out the Control Resonance. But because I started that game and kind of got a little bored.
Same here. Same here.
It
Same.
just didn't. It just did not hook me. I know a
Yeah.
ton of people who really loved it, and I'm just like, I'm waiting for this game to really draw me in, and it just never hooked me.
It was, it was interesting. There's like those little intermittent cutscenes slash, during gameplay running around, you see the guy in the black and white
Mm-hmm.
with the
Mm-hmm.
cigarettes and stuff like that. All that was kind of interesting and helped paint the world a little bit. But yeah, with like you, I kind of just got bored after a while, and
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's got all the ingredients I want in a game, especially an action game. But I
Yeah.
almost felt, I don't know how I
Yeah.
felt like I was OP about one-fourth
Mm.
into the game. I felt like it was way OP. Like there's nothing like this character I'm playing. There's nothing that's gonna kill her. You know.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know why I felt that way, but
For me, and I'm just workshopping this right now. I'm like thinking out loud right now. Like reflecting on why Control didn't hook me versus why other games do. I didn't feel there was playing the game. Yeah, the mystery of the world that the character inhabits was compelling, like you said, like seeing that guy smoking and
mm,
all of the weirdness going on.
yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
but that's like, that's uh frosting. Games
Yeah.
always boil down to the moment to moment gameplay and the overall gameplay loop, right?
Hmm.
And playing that game, it didn't feel like anything that was it wasn't innovative in terms of there was no mechanics that were particularly original. And I don't think the mechanics that they did implement were particularly novel either. And I
Hmm.
don't think that the combination of mechanics that they went with produced anything novel. Like the whole moment to moment gameplay to me felt like 1,001 other cover based, not truly, I mean, it wasn't truly a cover based shooter, but like sort of
Uh-huh.
any other high speed action shooter game. Like it felt generic to play, even though the world was very interesting and unique. The gameplay felt generic, right?
So and for me, I felt this I felt the same way, but yet the gameplay was I'm going to speak out two sides of my mouth here.
Mm,
The main character at a certain point, I don't know
mm-hmm.
how much farther you got in the game, but you pretty much become Jean Grey of the X-Men,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you're telepathically, telekinetically moving objects and stuff like that. And then that's where my issue was, and that to me was unique for a game.
Mm,
I never played a game where I could just grab environment, float them around, and throw them at people, right? So that was unique to
mm.
me. That's just for me. But I know there's other games out there. I don't know if BioShock does that or which game does that, where you can
I
levitate objects and
mean,
throw them
like
around.
Force Unleashed,
Okay. See, I
Second
never played that.
Sight,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, like, there's a million games, but again, it's not like it doesn't have to be the first at something. It just has to take
Hmm. Hmm.
a system and use it in an interesting way, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't think any of the systems that it there was nothing in that game that hadn't been done a
Uh-huh.
million times in other games, which is fine. There's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with that. But for a game to grab my interest, it has to use these systems that have been generated over the years in an interesting way that serves the world
Hmm.
that it's creating, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I think, and I'll harp on this forever. Like a game that sort of perfectly does this is South of Midnight,
Hmm.
where it there's not a single bit of that game that from a mechanics standpoint that you haven't seen in a thousand other games,
Hmm.
but the
Hmm.
way that it used these familiar mechanics enhanced an already compelling narrative and compelling world, right?
Hmm.
Whereas I played Control and I'm like, okay, this is somewhat interesting as a weird psychedelic sci-fi story, and that's fine. But it's not, even that is not something that's, I mean, that's been done a million and one times in video games, right? Like
Hmm.
even that was just sort of like, okay, I can name 30 other games off the top of my head that has done exactly this thing, right? Um and then the shooting mechanics did not feel particularly interesting. It felt like, well, we have this world that we want the player to exist in. What are the mechanics that justify why they're in this world? I don't know. Let's just do a generic shooter game. Like that's what it felt like to me. And you're
Hmm.
right. Like you do get psychic powers eventually, and it makes his character very powerful, but it just I don't know, man. Like I loved Alan Wake.
Hmm.
Um but I think since Alan Wake, and I haven't played Alan Wake 2, and I didn't play that other one that they did with um the guy who played Iceman in the X-Men movies. I don't
Hmm.
remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Um which did not get great reviews, by the way. But I mean I didn't play it, so I can't really
Hmm.
provide an assessment on that. But I don't know. Like I played that game and I'm like, this isn't really doing anything that I haven't experienced already in Alan Wake. It's
Hmm.
not gothic horror like Alan, like or not gothic horror, elder god horror. I don't know. Lovecraftian horror is kind of what I would associate Alan Wake with, at least the first
Hmm.
one.
Hmm.
Um but it didn't particularly move me. I, yeah, I don't know. I'm all over the place right now. Like I said, these are all things I'm workshopping my opinions in real time with you on this stream.
So, so while you're doing that, I mean, the one thing, I mean, you keep bringing up Alan Wake and stuff. So, did
Mm-hmm.
they establish? So, one of the things that was intriguing to me with Control was, It's in the same world as Alan Wake.
Oh, I did not know
That's
that actually.
yeah. It's interesting you were bringing that bringing that game in. Now I can't remember. I mean, obviously they're the same company, but I
Hmm.
think they want. I think there was again rumor mill or whatever. Like they're trying to imply that Alan Wake and Controller are in the same universe or
Hmm.
something. But take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't have
it
the
wouldn't.
internet up or
I wouldn't
you
put it
know.
past them to do something like that.
Yeah.
Remedy
So.
loves their weird. Um, what's the words I'm looking for? Esotericisms, esoterica, I guess.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like that really lights their fire.
Yeah.
Now so like okay, I didn't play Alan Wake 2 because I was so nonplussed by Control. Like I said, I didn't dislike Control.
Hmm.
I just got bored with it. Um and so I
Yep.
didn't even bother going to Alan Wake 2 because I mean I really loved Alan Wake. Alan Wake and Alan Wake's American Nightmare, and I was completely bought in on Alan Wake for the longest time, but after Control, when Alan Wake 2 came out, I'm like, I don't know that I really care about this. I'm kind of over the blending video game with live action footage shtick that they do, and
Hmm.
the yeah, okay, yeah, here we go, yet another weird absurdist event that theoretically has impact in the larger context of the world. Maybe part of it is just I feel like Remedy is just doing they're making games that are a parody of themselves at this point, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Again, I'm sort of workshopping my thoughts on this in real time. So,
For fun, I just looked it up on my phone, and again, the AI
hmm,
version of this is
yeah. So
yes,
take it for what it's worth. Yeah.
Alan Wake and Control take place in the same fictional shared world, officially called Remedy Connected Universe. So
Okay. All right.
there we go.
There
I don't
you
know why
go.
they need to brand it that way, but whatever.
I guess that
But
makes
yeah,
sense if I mean if you think about what the lore of Control is. But honestly, for me, it kind of undermines the character of Alan Wake, right?
yeah, because what makes Alan Wake so special is when I played, and I didn't play it all the way through. I kind of gave up on the game a little bit, much sooner than you did. But
Hmm.
um, I felt like it was kind of fun to see this guy. This is just an everyday man, but he's dealing with supernatural stuff, and it makes it really special. But
Hmm.
once you bring Control in, now, oh, okay, we're in a Marvel universe where there's superheroes on any block,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's not what happened to Alan Wake is not that special anymore. And now Control's character, I can't remember her name, is pretty much the Jean Grey of that universe. Like again, she's OP in the world. And Alan Wake, whatever he did in that first and second game, is it a special? I don't know. I didn't play them all the way
Well,
through to have an opinion, but
I think that part of it for sure is Alan Wake feels like a relatable everyman
hmm.
who's been thrown into overwhelming circumstances and is rising to the occasion.
Hmm.
But as someone who is, written for most of his life,
Hmm.
the fact that the protagonist is an author and the things that he's writing seem to have bearing on this bizarre David Lynchian universe that he's fallen into, um, was also really interesting to me. And the game was set in the Pacific Northwest, which came out when I was living in Seattle at the time, so there was a pre-installed sort of like ha 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 I get this kind of
Hmm.
depressed vibe that the game was going for. Um, so there was a lot going on in Alan Wake, um, that I liked, and also when the game came out, sort of the flashlight to bring down the shields
Hmm.
to defeat the enemy. That was novel. I mean, that was really interesting,
Yeah,
right? I
it
mean,
was
it
pretty cool.
it got repetitive by the end of the game, but um, it was like, wow, this is a really interesting way to take familiar mechanics and apply them in novel ways. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I never, for whatever reason, Control never gave me that sense that I was looking for, that I was hoping for.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know whether Alan Wake is worth revisiting at all for me, from what you're telling me.
Yeah.
If you're telling me that the flashlight mechanic in that game pretty much gets repetitive, then I think I've got the pretty much the gist of the game
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
point.
I
I
mean,
don't know whether,
it never
you know.
changes from the first minute to the last minute. Basically, the mechanic was shine flashlight, shoot gun, shine
Hmm.
flashlight, shoot gun. I mean, like that
Yeah.
never. They like try to play on it, and there's different novel ways that they utilize it, but it really doesn't change throughout
Hmm.
the whole game.
Cool. Well, maybe one of these days. I mean, I might pick up. You said you didn't play Alan Wake 2, right?
I haven't
So
played Alan Wake 2. I just need to wait for it to come on some sort of insane discount. I mean, the biggest problem is like I just have 1,000,001 games. Also, Alan Wake 2 isn't apparently on PC.
okay.
And I'm certainly not gonna buy an Xbox or a PlayStation 5 to play this game.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't remember. I don't know what came out on.
Hmm.
Yeah, wait, what? It's apparently on PC. I don't know why it's not coming up. Anyway, whatever. This is it's irrelevant. Um but if you haven't Alan Wake, the first one is on sale on Steam right now for $1.50 if you're looking to jump
Wow.
back in.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, last time I played it was on Xbox 360, and
Yeah.
then I just stopped. I think part of it, you know what, for some reason, this is coming from a Dead Space veteran player. I
Mm,
found Alan Wake to be kind of nerve-wracking, like a little bit
really?
anxiety-inducing. Yeah, I don't know
Hmm.
why. The darkness aspect of it was kind
Yeah.
of tripped
Yeah.
me out a little bit.
I
I
mean,
don't know why.
yeah, I mean, Dead Space
I'm a
creeped me out
scaredy cat.
too. But yeah, Dead Space wasn't as psychological the way Alan Wake was psychological, right?
Yeah, and also the way the models were, like even when you're in the diner in the very
Mm-hmm.
beginning, and how all the human models were kind of creepy-ish. And I don't know whether that was the technology at the time, because this is right. I don't know if you want to establish golden era of games and stuff like that, but that's
Mm-hmm.
right on the cusp where stuff was really getting really good, but not realistic enough. And so there was that uncanny valley thing kind of happening with those characters, that helped add to the creepiness. I mean, it was almost like a perfect moment in time to make that game.
Mm.
I feel like, and it really succeeded in being creepy and scary to me. And I give them a scaredy cat. I never went back to it. It was too
Hmm.
difficult to play. Whereas Dead Space,
Interesting.
no problem. I could play that for hours on end and be completely scared and
That's
freaked
funny.
out.
No,
Yeah.
I just checked. It is on PC, only Epic. It's not available on any other
Oh,
digital
okay.
storefront.
Huh, interesting.
Uh um but yeah, no, I think I am such a huge there's clearly when they made this game, they clearly had Twin Peaks playing on loop in the background of Alan Wake. I
Hmm.
mean, they
Hmm.
cribbed so much from Twin Peaks. It's almost ridiculous.
Hmm.
Um and it's not a bad thing because their take on it was really really interesting. And I think David Lynch would have probably was like, "Yeah, that was fun," you know.
Hmm.
Um but um uh yeah, that kind of like eldritch horror, gothic horror, folklore horror. I can't get enough of that kind of stuff, right? Like that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that kind of horror vibe. And so
Yeah.
Alan Wake really scratched that itch for me.
Yeah. I mean, around that same time, I mean, and we could probably say this for another stream, but Eternal Darkness was kind of on that same, to me, kind of like that Cthulhu weird.
Oh my god, yeah, are you kidding me? Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Another
episode
creepy.
in and of
Yeah, it
itself.
is. Yeah.
I might have talked about it on this stream, but I met Dennis Dyack at San Diego Comic Con a few years, oh not a few, god, so many years ago now. Dennis Dyack is sort of infamous in the games industry. So he was the creative director on Eternal Darkness and
Hmm.
a much maligned but highly underrated game called Two Human on the Xbox,
Okay.
Xbox 360. Um, but then unfortunately, he's most famous for suing Epic over, well, like, so Two Human was a complete disaster, basically caused the end of the studio, and they sued Epic claiming that the reason the game was such a disaster was because Unreal, the the game, editing tool,
Uh-huh.
Epic promised things that this engine could do that it couldn't, and they bought a license on faith that it could do these things and couldn't, and ended up writing their own graphics engine at a huge
Oh,
expense to
geez.
themselves. And so they sued Epic over this. Epic countersued, saying that actually this engine that you wrote for yourself is just a highly edited version of Unreal Engine 3. And Epic won,
Oh
and it
man.
bankrupted Dyack, and he had taken a huge amount of money from the Canadian federal government,
Jeez.
um, because they have these like grants for entertainment companies
Hmm.
in Canada.
Yeah.
So he effectively stole, unintentionally. Well, he bankrupted a ton of taxpayer money in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Huge embarrassment, destroyed his career.
Man.
I caught
Ah.
up with him at San Diego Comic-Con um years after this happened, and I was working on Murdered Soul Suspect at the game at the time, and I was
Hmm.
doing press for that. And we were actually working with Will Wheaton and Felicia Day's like geek um branding company. I don't remember the name of it. And so they hosted us, like Square Enix, and we were being published by Square Enix, so we were involved. And Dennis Dyack also was trying to kickstart a spiritual successor to Eternal Darkness, and he was
Okay.
showing that off um, at this con that Will Wheaton and again, Will Wheaton and Felicia's Day's company was hosting. It was in like a bar just across the street from the Comic Con,
Hmm.
from the convention center. And like I recognized him because I'm a nerd, and I'm like,
Hmm.
hey, would you mind if I tried out your game? And he's like, sure. And so we sat down and played it, and because we were in the same room together, right, where we were demoing Murdered at the same place he was demoing this game.
Hmm.
And I played it. It was great. Like, he clearly remembered what was awesome about Eternal Darkness and was really working hard to recapture that. I got
Hmm.
super excited by the prospect of it. Um, and he said, "Yeah, we're launching a Kickstarter real soon about this." And I'm like, "Hey, man, I gotta ask, as one dev to another, like, what happened?"
And then you got the whole story,
I got
huh?
the whole story. Um, Now this is coming from the horse's mouth, so take it for what it's worth, right? This is his own thing, but he didn't defend himself at all. He
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, man, I was an egomaniac. I was butthurt. I
Hmm.
wanted revenge, and it cost 50 people their jobs because
Yeah.
I saw red like a bull, and
Oh man.
it bankrupted me for this, and the biggest mistake of my life. I don't think I'm ever gonna live it down, and I wish it hadn't happened. And I'm just here. I want to make another cool game. Um, they were using the Crytek engine, I think.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I'm just here trying to like build up goodwill with people again. And on this Kickstarter, he was telling me about how they're not using his name at all because his
Man.
name was so toxic, and they were just like from the creators of Eternal Darkness and not getting specific at all that he was involved with it. He came across as deeply regretful
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
everything, and unfortunately that Kickstarter never took off. I looked it up, and it was exactly what he was afraid of. He was telling me like their biggest fear is that they're going to find out that he's working on it, and he was just so toxic at that point that they were afraid that any association with him was going to tank the game. And of course they figured out really quickly that he was the one doing the creative direction on it, and the Kickstarter failed, and they mothballed the project, and as far as I know, it never came out. And
Bummer.
yeah, and it was kind of wild to hear the story right from the guy who was at the center of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Hmm.
So I know that was a wild aside, but Eternal Darkness bringing it home was yeah, a masterpiece in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. Eh,
I still hope at some point Nintendo adds it to their Nintendo Classics.
yeah, it deserves the spot. It's now, like a cult. I think it's a cult favorite. Ironically, it's a cult game anyway, but
Yeah, it's about
I mean,
cults, but
really,
it is a
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's the purest of purest
Yeah.
cult kind of games to get. You know, yeah, maybe we can spend next week's talking about Eternal Darkness a
Yeah,
little
just
bit. It is a
reminiscing.
great game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
do
again,
believe that
this is,
Nintendo owns the IP.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
But they've never done anything with it since that one game came out.
And I know you don't. I always remind you about this, but
Mhm.
when we were both working at Warner Brothers at the time, I barely met you, so I didn't know we didn't know each other that well.
Mhm.
But we were hitting it off because of our affinity for games, and at the time I just beat Eternal Darkness, and
Mm.
for some reason I was like, I'm going to clear out my library. I'm going to probably get rid of this game. And you're like, what? I'll buy it from you. And I went, sure, okay. And you could have it for like $15. And I
Mhm.
sold it to you for $15. I don't know if you remember that or not,
Mm.
but I'm like, oh, I'm gonna sell it to a guy that likes this game. That's great because I liked it, And now it has a great home, and I
Mhm.
think I bet you the copy of that game now is probably going for a lot more money. I think it's like one of those underrated kind of.
Yeah.
I'm assuming so. I think it's worth a pretty penny now for GameCube because I think people discovered it much later after you and I played it, and I think it's
Yeah.
kind of got
Yeah.
word of mouth about it. I'm curious, but
Yeah,
yeah,
for a
it's a great
complete
game.
edition, on average, it looks like it's going for like with box, $130.
Oh man,
Yeah.
so you completely, that's awesome.
I still have my copy for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It's in good hands. It's got a good home.
For
You
disc
know,
only, it's going for 80, between
that's
70 and
crazy,
80.
man.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
so crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Interesting.
funny. But cool. As far as Clam is concerned,
Mhm.
she's fully animated here.
Oh
She's
wow.
reacting to
Yeah.
her
Oh, I love
tail.
the little tail wiggle there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I gotta get Dia's voiceover in there. I think I've got it somewhere, but right now I just have it on text form. But we'll get it in there and time it right. But all the animation frames are there for us to do the timing.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, so we're in good shape for tonight.
That's great.
Yeah,
All right. Well, we'll
yeah,
call it there. We've been going for a pretty good clip.
yeah.
If you're watching this, thanks. Appreciate it. If you want to head on over to calamityjane.rocks, you can become a patron over there. If we actually start getting people subscribing, then we'll actually like work out the tier structure and get fun stuff for people to look at and give you a reason to be a subscriber. But yeah, if you subscribe, you can help us make this cartoon a reality. You're watching the stream, so we're on Facebook and YouTube. We also have an Instagram at Calamity Chain Salamander, just another place where we take the time to post updates and things of that nature. But in the meantime, let me take a look here. I should be back. Yeah, next Monday. Be back, no problem. And so we'll be on next Monday. I will say that 2 Mondays from now, I definitely will not be around because I will still be
Mhm.
recovering from Dragon Con.
Okay.
So I'm almost certainly just gonna crash 2 Mondays. If something changes and I'm somehow miraculously in a state of mind, but let's just put tentative
Okay.
on the stream in 2 weeks. But next week we'll be around, so tune in then. We're always doing our thing. Got more weird things to talk about as always. But till then, have a good night, everybody, and stay safe out there.
Good night.